There we go. Okay. See, I thought that might happen. I was like, I'm going to mute my microphone so that the audio doesn't get all mixed up. And then I did it to myself. So hello, welcome to today's Tuesday live stream. We will start this over again. Oh, you hear music? Where is the music coming from? Stop music. Oh, okay. Music should have stopped now. I really do test all this stuff before I start. It doesn't seem like it, but I do. Okay, let's check one more thing. Ooh, nope, not that. I tried to move stuff around. Oh, hey, look, there's a... Thanks. I tried to move stuff around to make it easier to find the right thing I'm trying to click during the stream. And I think I just made it harder. Hey, Mary. Hey, Fred. Okay, it looks like audio's working. It looks like chat's working. Mary can hear. Fred can hear. We're calling that a win. Okay, thank you guys for joining us today. And I know, based on the text message, there's somebody else listening. So hello, mother. Let's see. I will see you later for dinner. This time for real. What do we want to start with? If y'all have any like easy or hard questions, we could start with that. I have one, like I said, well actually I said it, y'all couldn't hear it, so I'll repeat it. I have one that I pulled aside that I'd meant to hit before and I never did. It was left in a comment and I don't actually think I've addressed it on the channel before. And it's related to how the whole leases and bonuses and paid up leases versus all that stuff kind of ties in together. Honestly, I need to... Ooh, when's dinner? Let's see. I don't know, Mom, when's dinner? Oh, it's going to be Chick-fil-A. So, be prepared for Chick-fil-A. This is not home cooking on my end or anything. Okay. Yeah, I realized at the end of last week's live stream that I had the music playing the entire time. So, it's officially paused this time. Although if you liked the music, I can make that happen full time. But, okay, I'll just go ahead and jump into... Again, I did test this out. Let's see if this works. That works well enough. Wait, where is my little, name under me? Is that on? Okay, it's on. It must be cycling. Okay. Wait, where did the rest of the... There. Now more of y'all's chat can be shown. Okay, so this question is having to do with, like I said, like mentioned real quick, that this has to do with how the lease paid up versus lease bonus, and how do they know how much is even to pay up when it says it's a paid up bonus. I should get this a little closer to me so y'all can get it in the nice sweet spot for volume. That should be good. Okay. So the question was left on our beginner's guide for mineral owners on oil and gas lease royalties. And so just as a super very basic starting point, lease royalty, I know that at least y'all two in the chat here know this, but anyone else watching this, that the lease royalty is typically when you're a mineral owner and you're not wanting to spend millions of dollars to drill a well, you lease that to somebody else who does want to spend millions of dollars to drill the well, and then you get a percentage and they take the rest. But you don't have to pay anything, you just get a smaller percentage of the remaining rights, and then they pay you for the opportunity to do that. So that's normally these days called a bonus, and the paid up part is where the question is really related to. So I'll just read the question first. And I think I started touching on this question at a past live stream because the first sentence I remember Oh, thank you. I remember like feeling that before. So I'm not trying to like point out that someone left me a super nice comment, but it might seem like that. Oh, Mom, you did post. Yay. She posted a nice comment. Thank you, Mom. Yes. I like cooking. I don't have time all the time. I don't think my daughter would know that I like cooking, but the people who come over for Thanksgiving know that. The once a year that I cook and then the leftovers that I cook end up half decent. Okay. So the question is, hoping you may elaborate on paid up leases. They have a royalty percentage, but how can the entity pay up front what they may or may not pull out of the earth? Is it based on an average or estimated production extraction amount? It seems a little gray on how they come up with a lump sum figure or what they would apply to the percentage figure in order to come up with a fixed payment all at once up front. May have misunderstood that completely. Oh, LOL. I would greatly appreciate a little more info if you could get an opportunity. So I'll link to this in this comment reply. But yeah, I don't actually think I've addressed this necessarily on this channel, but this is something that we address in our Pecan Estimate app where we're estimating our lease bonus. We're doing that based on the projected value and then the projected bonus tied to that value. And so, yeah, we can address that here. So the first part there is the paid up lease aspect of it. So why is it called a paid up lease? I should put this down. I just pick up random stuff on my desk and I start just waving it around as I talk. So I'll try not to do that. But so the paid up lease is what it used to be called a rental. So if you look at leases from 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, you'd see the rental amount on that. And that was a regular payment that was made in order for that operator or potential operator, the person who wants to drill the well, in order for them to have the chance to come in and drill a well, they'd kind of rent that opportunity from you. So it'd be like if you, what's a good analogy to that? I can usually think of them real quick. I think my brain's just full today. Usually the analogies, I'm like the one talking in analogies all day long, and my husband, they never make sense to my husband. Like I'll say an analogy and he's like, no, that's nothing like that. I'm like, no, but it kind of is. It's like, and it's just funny how the two different sides of the brain we were definitely using. But regardless, I like to use analogies. Y'all must be here because you like how I explain things. So I'm just going to keep going with analogies. And when I think of one on this one, I will throw that in. But I usually go to housing, right? So if, and in this case, leasing your, like subleasing your apartment or something is similar. You're not leasing the rights to use it. You're exactly leasing the rights to use it. You're not selling like that. They're not paying for the amount of oil that they plan on getting out of the ground. They're paying on the opportunity to get that oil out of the ground. So that rental, that bonus is almost like that's a good analogy. Okay, yeah. When anyone who's bought a house, there is at least recently in the last 10 years, I don't know how new or old this is, since I've been buying and selling houses longer than that. But that aside, when you're buying a house and you want to stop all bids from happening, you want to stop them from taking other offers, and you just want to give yourself a little bit of time to check out, get the inspector to come over and make sure that there's no termites, that there's no mold in the walls, those type of things. You just want to have a chance to look things over, but you want to stop them from taking other offers because it's a super hot market or something. They there's an amount of money that you can give the seller to say, hey, just take it off the market for like a split second and don't entertain other offers. And here is our payment for that. And if we decide not to take the house, we lose that payment. And I want to say it's called an option. I I feel like the last time I thought that through, it wasn't right. But it is that amount of money is what we're talking about. Like that chunk of money that you're paying in order for someone to take it off the market so that you're the only one with the opportunity to look into that thing. But you need a chance before you actually jump full on into the deep end of that pool. You need to look and check that you actually want to jump first. That is what the lease bonus and the rental is. So it's not paying you early for the oil. It's not, I mean, it kind of is. It's not, in theory, paying for it. It's not like guessing how much is oil is going to have and they're going to deduct it from your future payments. Like, that's all being considered. This is just the opportunity. So in the same way that a bajillion-dollar house would have a much higher price tag to take off the market for a week than a $10 shack. In a certain light, the higher the potential for the property, the higher the bonus is going to be, and so they are kind of paying you ahead of time for that oil or gas they might get out of the ground. And so that's where I'm like putting a lot of caveats and asterisks next to what I'm saying, but because it is related. All of this is related to what these properties will eventually produce. But but it's not like they're gonna be, keeping their little tally board and checking off exactly how many barrels come out of the ground and deducting it from how much they already paid you or something. Now the paid up part is because over time it became more common to ask for all of that rental payment up front. So instead of having a monthly or annual rental that was paid like you would with an apartment, like paying a rental monthly, it was, and not even paying annually like you would a software license or maybe a commercial property or something where you pay like at a less frequent basis, but it's still annual or something. Rather than that, they just said, okay, well, we want to reserve the right for 5 years or 3 years or 2 years, whatever that lease term is. And that's, there is a gnat that just almost poked my eyeball. There's a lease term that's equivalent to that like week off the market if it was a house. And so that time, instead of saying the equivalent would be, the rental would be every day that it's off the market, we'll pay you X amount of dollars every day that we want you to take the house off the market. That was what it used to be like with a rental. But then things just kept getting more and more competitive and people were able to ask for more. And so then it became more common to have an upfront paid up lease where everything happened. As soon as you signed the lease, you got all the money that they were going to pay you over the course of that lease for that opportunity. So you weren't going to receive another payment until either stuff started producing or they had to reserve more time in order to now analyze it a little longer. So that became known as the paid up lease. And nowadays, if you see if a lease comes across your desk because someone's wanting to lease something from anyone, it is 99% chance it's a paid up lease. If it was a rental and it was like a modern lease when someone was offering a rental, I would be really actually interested to hear who was doing that these days. So if you have seen a modern rental lease where there's like regular payments that is being offered or that someone accepted within the last, we'll just say 5 years, we'll put that window of that's what a modern time frame would be the last 5 years. If you've seen that, I would love to hear where and what type of lease and why. Like what, I imagine there'd be something different about that or something a little more exploratory. Like maybe I could see maybe something like the lithium or critical minerals or maybe areas where there's like solar potential, like where it's butting up to oil and gas production, but it's not like the core of oil and gas production. Because, yeah, man, now I'm thinking, what other situations would you see a rental? Because like federal leases, it's like every 10 years you have to pay something, but it's not really rental. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing like a very obvious one, but if anyone knows of a rental situation, yes, let me know. Put in the comment, email me, whatever. But yeah, so everything nowadays is a paid up lease. The other thing that I haven't really covered is how they know how much they should pay. Like, how do you know how much they should pay? If it's not based exactly on the estimated extraction from the ground. So since I said that it kind of is based on the extraction from the ground, the rough rule of thumb that is used is it's about a third of the overall revenue they expect to receive from that property is up front. That they're willing to put aside as the opportunity cost to reserve that. And there was a really good video that I found that explained it really well. It's by the energy law professor, I think. And I will link that below. But he explained it really well, probably better than I could explain it off the cuff, especially. But it was basically that the amount of cost that, if you think of all the money that the person will make over the course of that property as a pie, the amount of that pie that they're willing to risk and put up front is only about a third or a fourth of it, and that is the bonus. And then everything else will be paid as, that's the royalty percentage that you're getting. So you could get a lower upfront bonus if you got a higher royalty, or you could get a higher bonus and a lower royalty. But overall, that chunk is going to be about a fourth to a third of the total chunk of dollars produced. That might be a good way to conceptualize it, especially if you think about these quarter leases that are pretty common in the very high paying areas where you have 25% is really common. And if you're trying to decide how much am I giving up by doing 25% versus 20 versus 12.5%, that is why, if you do that math, it shakes out almost all the time where it's better to do a higher royalty rate, as long as that bonus goes in the right ratios. But the bonus should follow roughly in that same like counter. Like if the royalty goes up, the bonus goes down, and vice versa. We have that on our website, where if you get a pecan estimate on any of our properties, which is our point in time report, then there's a tab that says lease bonus estimate, and we will take the remaining potential on that property, like the yet to be drilled, and calculate the lease bonus that should be associated with that amount of potential. So that's actually a tool that we have right now, and we'll be expanding upon that more so in the future. Okay. I can continue on and on and on about this stuff, but I do want to check that I didn't have any other questions come in the meantime. Also, I kind of just rambled without checking that everything was still working. Everything is still working. Okay, good. All right. It must be a pretty sleepy Tuesday. I'm actually kind of okay with that. I'm pretty sleepy this Tuesday also. What else? What do y'all want to if I were to just jabber about anything, is there anything in particular you'd like to hear? Once again, I lost my... Oh, there it is. Okay. I should move stuff. This here. I keep also trying to have... I really enjoy the music and the production side of this, and so that's... I keep having these ideas for like different music things that I could have going, but I won't... I will make sure that's thoroughly tested before I subject y'all to that. I also had some stuff up, but then my computer blue screened about 30 minutes before going live. So one news source, we usually hit like news here and there every other live stream or so. I don't know if I've hit it recently, but one of my favorite news sources is Wall Street Journal. If I go to... Ooh, that's fun. There we go. Wow. That didn't stay like I thought it would. Man. Hi, Joan Smith. Do I deal with or work with North Dakota Minerals? Ha! Y'all are like, please don't do news stories, Tracy. You really suck at news. No, I'm just kidding. But I'll stick on this Wall Street Journal page while we hit this. So, do you deal with or work with North Dakota Mineral? Yes, we do. We do the whole nation. So, and Fred also asks, anything trending right now in oil, big finds, etc. Yeah, I'm okay with just rambling if y'all are okay with it. So we do North Dakota. Any particular, yeah, we've actually been expanding how much we're covering in general. So, one example is recently I took a deep dive into the Michigan stuff, and that should be rolled out onto our site soon. Utica, Point Pleasant, and Marcellus we had the first pass on our site, and now the second more expanded pass is on there, is live and launched. So Utica is better handled. Alice says, how about explaining the new portfolio a little more so I understand it better? We'll hit that at the end and call that our sponsored segment, sponsored by us. So yes, if you want to hear more about our subscription portfolio tool that we've created in-house, and Fred also says, I'd like to hear more about the portfolio option in your estimating system also. So yeah, we'll hit that. We'll hit that very shortly then. Okay. I'm always down for talking about that. And now it looks like I can even see where on my screen it's actually showing. That's weird. I'll have to figure out why OBS does what it does. So I use this software called OBS to stream, and it's like every time I open it, it's slightly different, which is not annoying at all. Okay. So I'll use our app also to talk about. It's a nice little way to hit the interesting stuff at the same time. Hold on. I've got to switch accounts real quick. Change portfolio. No, I should probably keep it off the screen until I get fully into the portfolio I plan on being in. Okay. There we go. Okay. So if I go to this create a tract, I'll talk on some of the interesting stuff. I'll hit the anything trending and North Dakota minerals stuff real quick. So on our site, you can, on the main page, you can select a state that you want to start in. But if you just scroll around, you can actually go to any state and it will load and see what state is in the center and load all of our data in on that state. So it only loads one at a time just to keep it from really hitting the server too hard. But as you can see, here's our North Dakota analysis. Whitney Hornack, who's on our team, I think she is socked in right now in terms of work. So I don't think she's on the stream, but that means I could just make fun of her. So she is actually very familiar with North Dakota and brings a lot of expertise from the Bakken to our team. We've also had many projects in the Williston, both on the Montana side and on the North Dakota side. We've even had a couple down into the South Dakota stuff that comes. There's a trend that comes down this way. It's an older trend, but we have that too. All of this is included in the model, and what I was mentioning is we're trying to get more of this Michigan arm built out into the public. So right now, everything that's in here is just the producing wells, and what we're trying to get built out for everywhere is producing and non-producing. So the untapped, undeveloped reservoirs, because that's our bread and butter. That's really what we pride ourselves in, is having all of that in every single acreage. So right now, for example, Pennsylvania has all of the Marcellus and Utica and Point Pleasant and whatnot. New York is not necessarily drilling, but so it kind of just stops right there because those permits aren't being allowed to be drilled. So that upside doesn't exist and the wells are much less. But that extends into almost every state at this point. We used to limit what states we even let you see, but now you can actually see. There's not a whole lot in Florida, but it does. This Panhandle part does have a oil and gas production. And if you zoom in, you can even see the wells that are associated with these little pods of value. If this is dollar per acre, you can zoom in and see what wells those are. It just takes a minute to load, but then you can see those well spots. And if you create a tract, it's free to create tracts. It's free to create an account. You can even poke around to see you can't see the well details until you get a report or have portfolio, which ties into the next part of this. Hi, Martha. How are you? As always, you are just on time. So, Martha asks, is an NPRI obligated to have a deed? I'm getting various answers. I've read that only the mining company needs to know. I don't think it's required to show the NPRI owner the deed, which is weird. But yeah, it really depends on the state and the specific rules and what you need the deed for, and like all those things. Like all the specifics really do matter. You're West Virginia, right? And I'm not super familiar with NPRI specific rules in West Virginia, but so what we're doing, Martha, is we are doing a little demo of Pecan Portfolio. So this is our new service that we have. So historically, we've had it where you could come in and I'm not going to create a property here because there's much funner parts of the country to make properties than Southern Alabama, but you could come in and make a property anywhere you wanted to and run a report. And once you ran a report, you would have a point in time pecan estimate is our name of the only report that we have out right now. We have more reports coming, but the pecan estimate is a point in time that it would give you all the details, all the values, all the everything about that property that you should know before making any decisions, or if you just wanted to understand it better. So y'all are in West I said West Virginia, right? Yeah. Tyler County. Okay. Yeah, I wish I had more answers for over there, but yeah, there aren't a whole lot of requirements for what what the people who have the information have to give you, unfortunately. In most states even. It's not even like a West Virginia thing. So we've had this where you could purchase a report on a tract, and you could create tracts, and you could save them and stage them and know those point in time things. And that's our reports that we have. That is still there. You can still get those estimates, and you can still purchase those pecan estimates, and you can access them on the site. There's a print manager. It has probably 10 to 15 pages of details that comes along with the $50 report. Like, it's a really great deal, honestly, especially since you get the beyond producing in there. So what is the upside potential? You have the Barnett Shale in this particular example, how much is developed, proven, unproven, and then full 3P analysis like PUD, PROB, POS, and how much value we're putting in each of those categories. And that's from a bottoms-up report. But our our pecan portfolio is really it's trying to help the people who need to just better manage their properties. And so what we realized was, as we were doing our appraisals and as we were generating these reports, is that we kept having more and more tools available for us and available for our clients to find their properties and describe their properties and really get a handle on what they own, so that we could put that point in time value on it. And at the same time, we were improving our ability to update the model regularly, to where now everything has converged to where we have a continuously updated model, and we have all these tools that we've made available. So that package together is Pecan Portfolio. And really, just if you think about it as, I want to better manage a portfolio of assets, that's what this tool is for. Now, that better management could be preparing for a sale. It could be to make sure you're getting paid on all the wells. It could be just to understand it better. But we cover all those bases. What Pecan portfolio includes is, let's see, do I have... Oh, on our sales site, that's what I'm thinking of. I was like, I know that we created all the copy that we put on our site. Where is it? It's on our site. So pecantriog.com is our marketing site that has all the information about us. So products, company, all that stuff. And you can get to our app site, which is where all of the stuff I was just showing you is. So we're slowly merging those two together to where it's more seamless, but it's surprisingly difficult to get a tool and a website to feel like they're all one thing, because they're not. But under products, if I go to portfolio, this does explain, hopefully to some degree at least, what we're trying to do, where we're trying to give you insights and activity alerts. And I'm just letting y'all know that this is here. But if I go back, it's always better to just show. Fred asks, how does one determine the lease rate? Do you back into it from existing wells producing, or do you need the original lease? Or is there some report online when creating a tract? So usually if we don't have access to a royalty rate, like that lease royalty from a lease, and it's just a well you've been paid on and you've been receiving a check for the last 30 years and you have no idea where that lease exists, and it's just, that there's land that you're getting paid on and there's a well that pays you, and that's what you know. We run into that quite a bit, and that's one of the tools that we've built into. I know it's in Portfolio. I'm pretty sure it's also in the free Create a Tract option, where you can say from the API 14. And we're expanding upon this, but if you know the API number of that well, and we also have it where you can find that API number in the well search. If you put that in this box here, and then you put how much you're being paid, as in terms of a pay decimal, we'll use the unit to back into how many acres equivalent it would be if it were leased at 12.5%. Just because we don't know the lease rate. That's normally what's used if you don't know the lease rate, is you just assume 12.5%, because then at least it's being normalized to a value, and you can talk in net royalty acres. If you're watching this on the replay last, because I know that at least, man, y'all are a faithful few. I really appreciate that. Fred, Mary, y'all were here. Martha, y'all were here last week where we went over net. Was it last? Oh shoot, it was 2 weeks ago now. We went over net acres versus net royalty acres. But that is what it's really common not to have that lease information, and so the net royalty acre is why people standardize on that and convert everything to a net royalty acre, and that's really the simple answer is, if you don't know, it's fine, as long as you know what you're getting paid from the well. There's not really a report online unless you were to just go find, like, more and more the leases are becoming available online, but only in the county records. So you'd have to be in a county where it happened to be scanned, it happened to be findable, because sometimes they aren't labeled well, or sometimes they are indexed well. Sometimes they're just never scanned at all. Sometimes they were never filed. Sometimes it's just a memorandum that was filed saying a lease exists, and there's no actual details as to what that lease is. But let's say that you did create a property through one of our many ways, and you had a portfolio then of tracts. So we'll just go about it from, okay, well, we have these tracts, I have these things, these deeds that my dad handed down to me, and I have a producing property here and an unproducing property that just had a deed attached to it over here, and then I get revenue from this well over here, and really it's all a mess and I have no idea. You just build in what you know, and each one is its own tract. So those tracts then have its own characteristics, where we'll put everything with a star rating. So similar to, is this a 5-star restaurant or a 1-star restaurant, a 5-star hotel, 1-star hotel? Like, how good is this relative to other oil and gas properties? We'll give you that context because most people don't have a really good feel for that. And we want to let you know if it's like middle of nowhere or like a center of everything. A lot of these are, for example, 3 stars out of 5. I feel like everyone hearing this right now can have a good feel for what a 3 out of 5 star anything is like. So it's not terrible, but it's not the best. It's not the highest. So in terms of oil and gas, it's not the highest value, but it's not nothing. It's something to at least keep an eye on, but it's not like your 5-star properties. But then also how many gross acres, net acres, what royalty rate is built in? Do we have something in there? Is it just the basic 12.5%? How many active wells are on that property? I think that's new, actually. I don't remember active wells being on there before. That must have been a new thing that was rolled out. And then there's more columns as we scroll, but for some reason my OBS is very zoomed in right now, so we'll just keep it. I want some of that example 3. I want some of any of these, honestly. Oddly enough, I don't actually own minerals of any type myself. I was not someone who inherited them, or I will not inherit them that I know of, Mom? Are we just hiding things until this is like the surprise will reading? Is that what's going to happen? Where it's like, ta-da! This is why I pushed you toward... no, they didn't push me towards petroleum engineering. They probably did the opposite, right? Like, why are you going towards oil and gas? Like, we have no association with this industry. I don't know, maybe that's why I'm an oddball. 2B. Oh, okay, I was like, well, I guess if you really want an override, sure. Yeah, there we go. This one here. Yeah. Borden County is not a terrible place. This, millions of dollars producing $54,000 a year. Okay, so, sorry. Oh, see, Mom said, yes, of course, there's going to be a surprise will reading. It's going to happen, I'm sure. I just won't invite Jason to it, and I'll tell him what happened. Okay. So this is something we kind of had before, but we didn't have all of this information that you could get from it. So the monthly revenue estimate, the pecan scope, the star ratings, growth potentials, income outlook, really the interpretation of what's happening. This is something that you can just keep tabs on. It's updated, evergreen. Every time we get more information, we run a new model. Every month at the minimum, it's updated with new numbers. And so if you have portfolio, you also have the ability to roll things up into a portfolio level view. And Mary, I see your comment on if Martha and I are set up our wells on Pecan Tree, could we both work on it together even though we live in different states? So yes, that is something that we do now offer, and that is one of the portfolio features and something we're really excited to share. And I think I might have even shown a little bit of it. Move this over. Might have shown a little bit in a prior live stream, but I probably haven't shown it all together. But if you are in a situation where you and another family member or your CPA or your lawyer all want to be able to see the same portfolio, one of the features that portfolio lets you do is share this with multiple people. And so if I can go in and go into portfolio settings and go to permissions, and I can enter an email. I can add that email, and I can say if that person can view or if that person can view and edit. And if I add that person to it, then when that person logs in with their login, then under their account, they would see any portfolios that they've been given access to. So in the same, it'd be like if y'all both created it, but you'd be both working on the same one. So if this, unknown Tracy Lenz person, who I have no idea who that person is, I just added to this portfolio. If they were to go in and edit these example properties I have in here, I would see it live. Like every time they hit save, it would update on my side because it's only updating the one spot. So there's pros and cons to that, right? So if you wanted to have your own set of numbers and then your cousin has their set of numbers, but it's the same properties, you'd probably want to have two portfolios that you both could see, but maybe you edited your own. If you wanted to have two different numbers, but if you both have the same numbers, or maybe you're managing it on the family level and then you're just dividing it on your own, with your own calculator on your side of the screen, right? Like I have 50% of this, that would work fine too. Let's see. So also when you have that aggregate, then you can see on an aggregate level what the insights are. So right now we are, I call this a very basic starting point of where we envision it being, but that's probably not fair to say because there's quite a bit on here that we already have. So it'll aggregate all your alerts for all the different properties. It'll aggregate all of your value wave. So this is our value wave that we have where we created. This is not something like industry standard. The names of each section is industry relatively standard, but our depiction of it is unique to us. So every property starts off as no oil or gas has been discovered. So it's exploration phase. And then, oh, so there's something interesting. We're going to like delineate to figure out how big this thing might be. And then if that is positive, then the next step is to develop it. Like, how are we going to actually make this a real thing and develop it further? And then once it's been developed, then it's the full exploitation of the asset. So if it's one of the more recent analogies I used was a neighborhood analogy. So if you have a big old open pasture, there's not even a road built to it yet, that's the exploration phase. That's someone looking at Google Earth and being like, I bet a neighborhood would be a great place to put there. So that's the exploration phase. Delineation would be when there's like a dirt road built out there. They've done like a couple surveys to see what interest there'd be to like build a house out there. And maybe they have like the rough staking of where they might put, like just to see if it's possible to do. And then like they're checking to see if the city would give them permits and whatnot. Then development. Oh gosh, y'all can't even see it. I'm sorry. Let me pull this over. Doop-a-doop-a-doop. There. All right. So then development would be, all right, we have an approved neighborhood, that we have a road that we're actually going to build a paved road out to. We're going to start marketing that you can build a house here, and we're going to start selling plots of land and selling the ability to build a house. And people are going to start coming and building houses. That is the development phase, which, right, they call them developers. All right, we have 99% of the lots filled up, and we just want to like make sure that everything is, the final like lots are sold. Maybe the developer like passed it on to like the salesman of or like some other group in order to manage the sale of those last couple lots. Like, it's a slightly different phase than like the main development. And it's when most of the interesting stuff has happened, and it's just you're getting your HOA fees paid or something, right? And then late life is, okay, there's definitely no one building new houses in this neighborhood. If anything, people are starting to move out because their kids like went to college and they don't need that big of a house anymore, or things are starting to go downhill because the houses are 80 years old at this point. Like it's kind of coming to where there needs to be another regeneration, like a rejuvenation of that area in order for values to change. Like, right, that's the like East Austin gentrification or East, I think it's like East any city in America is like the side of the city that is like historically less wealthy and is being like renovated. Is that how it is for all the cities that y'all are familiar with? Like almost every city I know, it's like the east side is less well off than the west side, but I might just have a very small sample set. But yeah, so that is our equivalent here for the long explanation of our equivalent for the value wave mix. So you can get a good feel for, all together, how does my portfolio look? Like, is it mostly old aging neighborhoods, or is it mostly like pasture that has dirt roads built to it that developers are wanting to maybe come to? It really gives you a feel for what your properties look like. And then we just have more insights that we currently have all the data. We're just building out different ways to see it. So you can play around with it, see which ones have the most growth potential, which ones have the most income outlook, like a high income outlook, or increasing, which ones have the most activity happening on it. And then we also have file management coming soon. The other really useful thing is you can use this to audit what you're being paid on. So if there were two things I were to really point to, it'd be the dashboard and the wells listing. Because the wells listing is, I really pushed for getting this view because a lot of people enter it with, I have a list of wells I get paid for, and I know nothing else about what we own. And so I really wanted it to be where you could start with that well list and work backwards if you needed to. So both from creating a tract, you can create tracts from a well or a well list, and then you could also then see, okay, if I'm in this well, what other wells might I be in? And if I'm getting paid on this well, why am I not getting paid on this well that seems like I should be paid on it? You can start doing that type of investigative work to figure out, like, why am I getting paid on this well? I don't actually know. So this is our well listing, which takes all of those tracks and pulls them together. And this is also a portfolio feature. So this is not something that you would get with our just basic tract management. This only happens once you put in all the information and get a portfolio subscription. Then we go through and do all the calculations, not by hand. This is all our proprietary algorithm stuff. We'll go through and figure out, based on the units that we have, either that we've mapped or that we've assumed, and based on your acreage that you've drawn, like what touches each other and why and how much. And you can start auditing, like, okay, well, this is showing that there's an active well producing from BKV Barnett. I don't receive any checks from them. Maybe I should call them. So coming soon is a quick form that would help you populate, like, who do you call? What do you say? What numbers, like, what is that company's number? What is that company's email? That's all coming soon. Like, what do I tell them the well numbers? Do I tell them the well names? Do I tell them my name? Like, who, I don't even know how to word things. And so we will help get you to what you need to communicate to the operator if you need to communicate with them. Then also we have, make this a little bit smaller here. Get rid of that. And move this over there. So just letting everyone know, on this, there's a horizontal scroll bar at the bottom, and if you switch to 10 per page, there's a dog hair on my lips somewhere, and it's driving me nuts. I'm trying not to mess with my face too much. I tend to do that, but there's a dog hair. Okay, so this is as you keep scrolling, you can see first, last production, and then the pay decimal that we're estimating. Oh, we have a new feature since last week. So that's one of the fun things. We're so small that every week there's going to be a new feature, pretty much. And so sometimes it's behind the scenes, so I can't show it. But this time it's something y'all can actually see. So previously, we had it to where you could overwrite our estimate. If you knew that it wasn't 0.00062, it was 0.00065. We'll just say, for example. You could overwrite that, but you had to go to a different page. And we really wanted to make it really easy to audit what you were doing. And so we now have it where you can click on any of these and it will pop up a overwrite for that well. So I can either disable that well completely and say, nope, I don't get paid in this well. I know that I don't get paid. It's fine. Or you can say, this is where you'd put that 0.000. Oop, my numlock turned off. Let's say it's actually 0.0065 and I don't have any working interest. So hit save. And now that is in that well. And as soon as you save, it's going to start running the new calculations to rerun your revenue estimates and market value estimates and scope and all that stuff based on those numbers that you put in there. And then also if you overwrite that with a number, but you're multiple tracks, like you're in that well because of multiple reasons, it will actually allocate that number across those multiple tracks. So that's the overwrite. And then there's also notes that you can put. So one of the things that we do for almost every appraisal is we check the revenue statements that people receive and we compare that to, okay, what info, how do we know that they're getting paid on that well? And then when we run our cash flow projections, we compare the two to make sure that we're not missing anything. And we do that on aggregate and individual wells. So we wanted the ability to do that in our app because this is primarily like also what we use for our appraisals to stage them and get them ready. And so if it's useful for us, we wanted it to be useful for you. And so You can also put in the last revenue to see if that's lining up, and then what date was that from? Like, where are you getting that information from? Is it a guess? Is it from a phone call? Is it from a check stub? And then any other notes that you want to put on that well. And then that would be saved. And then when you go to that well, of course I put it on the unknown well, but if you go to that well's page, all of that stuff then follows that well. So any notes, any overrides, any additional things that you're wanting to put, there's a well page where you can get to all of that information, get to the state well files. This takes you to the Texas Railroad Commission, for example. We also have a well database link, which is just a data provider. And then we'll also show you why we think you have an interest in that well. So I know that it's 1 o'clock, and I know that a lot of y'all hop off at 1, so I won't go too much longer. Was really excited to show this. There's been a lot of work put into this over the last couple weeks, especially. I think that this will really be helpful for a lot of people. And also I've been having fun playing with it all weekend. It was rolled out, was it Saturday morning? I think Jason rolled it out. So I was playing with it all weekend, and works really well, like that new pop-up thing. And you can still get to, if you want to do them all at once, you can go to the overwrites, and we had to be real careful to call it an overwrite rather than an override, since those are two different things. But like, we have our confidence factor as to why we think you have an interest in that well, so you can, like, I'm much more sure that this random person would have an interest here than in these lower percentage wells. But either way, you can either disable or enable. You can see what interest, and then you can also sort by how much money we think that well should be making you if you have all your stuff in there right. So that, I think that hits all the main features of Portfolio. And we just have 3 different tiers for let's see, where did my, I lost it's here. Okay. So we have 3 different tiers to Pecan. I should know how to use my own site. But honestly, when it's like collapsed like this, I can't find things. I have to like expand it so I can see the whole thing across the top. So we have pricing. Yeah. So Light is $20 a month for 3 tracks. So you can aggregate and check your wells if you just have a couple for only $20 without having to buy a subscription to any other data provider. Core is if you have any, like a dozen or more tracks, like any substantial number of wells or handful or more of tracks, that's where you'd want to get that in order to be able to really handle the volume. And you can fit as many tracks as you want, up to 150 in there. And then we have a pro level if you have more than that, or if you have a lot of users. All of this is currently just contact us to subscribe. So we're still building in the like automated subscription stuff. But yeah, just give us an email, click get started. That should take you where you can sign up and get going, and then contact us for Portfolio. So yeah, thank you, Mary. Thank you, Fred. I'm glad that y'all were able to join us again today. Pop over here. Yeah. Mom says, I'm a visual learner, and although you've been telling me, seeing it makes it easier for me to understand. Yeah, I mean, same. I mean, I obviously see it all the time, but I think most people are visual learners. And I think I even watched a random video talking about how there isn't such thing as visual versus auditory, or all the different types of learners that people might be. There's just effectiveness of different types and how much you're enjoying it. So it's more enjoyable to be fully immersed in something than not, and that's generally how I see it. So okay, that's probably enough rambling. I probably have other stuff that I should get going on to. I think lunch will be the first thing I do, But all right, hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your week. I hope you have a great Tuesday. I hope your week's going well so far. I was gonna say something else. I don't remember. All right. Oh yeah. Email us if you have questions that you'd like to see covered in this in this Q&A. And then also, if you have enjoyed this, make sure to subscribe so you see future Q&As, get alerted to things. And then also make sure to like this video so that we know that you liked it. So Mary says she's a visual learner here too. Yes. I mean, who doesn't like to see things, right? I guess if you're visually impaired, that's different. But yeah, I agree. That's why we try to make things pretty also. Like, because if you're going to be looking at stuff, make it pretty. Yeah. So, okay. I'll talk to y'all next week. We will see you around. Bye. Thank you guys. And bye. See which end music do we want? I'll do this one.